But I just know that I don't want to look only to my own interests, but also to the interests of others.
Yeah.
That's Philippians 2:4. And so that's the thought we're going to go into this discussion with and end with is, wherever we land, we want to be aware that there are more people than just me who desire this.
Welcome to Sound Plus Doctrine, the podcast of Sovereign Grace Music, where we explore what the Bible has to say about music and worship in the church and encourage those who plan, lead, and participate in their Sunday gatherings each week. Hello, and welcome to the Sound Plus Doctrine podcast. My name is David Zimmer.
My name is Bob Coughlin. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So grateful for the people who listen to this, watch it. It's so kind.
Yeah.
So today we are talking, this will be number 3 in a series. Actually, it's going to be a 4-part series, but we're not labeling them 4 parts because we found that when we do that, people don't listen to the other
second
parts.
part.
Yeah, that's right. so it's a standalone, but it is the hard conversations series. So we've done hard conversations with your pastor, hard conversations with your musicians. Today, we're talking about hard conversations with your church members. So, David, this is really helpful because there was a conversation I've been wanting to have with you that I just thought we'd do it on the podcast. No,
I'm sure that's true.
No, just slightly. We did a whole podcast on the well. Let me set it up. There are moments, for some people more than others, where you're a musician, you're a leader, you're trying to serve in your church, and you are you're doing what you think you should be doing, and trying to do the best you can. But there's that one or that 2 or 3 or more people who just really don't like what you're doing, or they might like it. We'll talk about both sides of that.
Yeah.
And it's the church is the church. It's we're a body, we're a community, we're meant to work together. It's not just a job or a role you're fulfilling. We want to serve those who are part of our church, but there are those times when someone some churches have suggestion cards. I knew a guy once who. It's church. Yeah, we got this card this past week. Would you stop it with, and just get critiqued that way? That's not a very helpful way.
Right.
Anonymous. But when someone comes up to you and begins this conversation, it's like, we want to talk through some of those ideas. And we are going to start with song suggestions. We did a whole podcast on this.
Yeah.
Called "Why Don't We Sing This Song?" And just very briefly, the things we covered there were, first, check your heart. When someone says, "Why don't we sing this song?"
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that ever happen to you when someone says something just inside you just go,
Right,
it's just the walls go up, the defense, you idiot, what are you going to say? So check your heart. That's the first. Second, thank them.
Very important.
Because Psalm 141, verse 5 says, "Let a righteous man strike me. It is a kindness. Let him rebuke me. It is oil for my head. Let my head not refuse it." So it may not be correction necessarily, but if someone's saying, "Hey, why don't we do this?" I want to welcome that.
Yeah, they care enough to say something.
Exactly. So thank them. Third, ask the person what they liked about the song, and if I haven't heard it, then I'll go listen to it, and then tell them I'll get back to them.
Yeah.
So I want to have a conversation rather than just, no, we don't do this.
Yeah.
And then fourth, get back to them. So that was what we covered in that 30-minute podcast. That was a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could make our podcast really short.
We're just learning that now.
I know. So the second area that may be a hard conversation is just general song choices. So these could be the conversations that start out, why don't we sing better songs? Or, why don't we sing slower songs? So more general categories. Why don't we sing faster songs? Why don't we do more hymns? Not necessarily a specific song that we're talking about, but just in general. So I think the first 2 points are the same. First, check your heart and thank them. But then, ask them what songs they suggest. Get specifics. Is there a specific song? Because sometimes that is the entree to, I want us to sing this song. Why don't we do more? I want to sing fast songs. Why don't we sing praise? Or, whatever. It's just this opens the door for me to make that suggestion. So ask them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is there a particular song you're thinking of? And see what they say. But that provides an opportunity to talk about why we sing the songs we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say if you're a leader, if you're a pastor, if you're responsible for the songs, you should have a good idea of why you sing the songs you do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do Sunday planning every week with a couple of guys, and we're always asking that question: what's the purpose of this song?
Yeah.
What's what would be your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I think when you're having these conversations with people in your church, I love how you're starting with giving them sort of the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely.
First.
Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
Yes. I was in a situation one time where the worship leader that was picking songs for my friend's church, he was picking like really old, obscure songs that people didn't know. They were very confusing to sing, hard to sing.
Kind of like some of the ones I pick.
No. And what was interesting was, my friend asked me, could you come and just talk, to have a conversation? Because I've had multiple conversations with my worship leader, and it doesn't seem like we're clicking. So this is a congregant.
Okay.
My friend is a
Okay.
congregant
Okay.
coming to
Okay.
their worship leader. And I remember coming to him and talking to him, and he was so gracious and kind. And I said, hey, have you considered this song? This is a newer song. And he said, I don't have time to prepare.
Oh, very interesting.
So that's really helpful that you would give me a suggestion and I would go with it. And I guess my point in telling that story is a lot of the times when we're either coming to our worship leader or people are coming to us, we might have limitations as a worship leader that we're not even aware of.
That's good.
And you can say, oh, that's helpful. I want to consider that. I want to think through that. And vice versa. If you're feeling fearful to talk to your worship leader, well, he might be in a place where he has those limitations.
Yes.
So just sharing, giving both sides the benefit of the doubt, I think is helpful.
Yes. I mean, some of the things, we're pretty intentional about the songs we use. Not there's no perfect liturgy, there's no perfect collection of songs, order of songs, but we're always thinking about it. Why this song? Mm-hmm. So some of the principles we use are obviously Scripture determines our songs. If we have a call to worship, that next song is meant to flow out of that call to worship, meant to be a response to it or an expansion of it. We want to sing songs people should sing.
Yeah.
Which is they're rooted in the Word of God. And then there's the issue of song diet, which is, over a period of time, what kinds of songs are we singing? Mm-hmm. So there may be, an up song, a fast song that would be really great, but we really don't need that right now. What we need is this song of, repentance. Yeah. Or what we need this song of reflection, which is hardly true of any church. Every church is looking for up songs and fast songs. Yeah. We have a limited number of songs. Mm-hmm. So, I think we've shared before that we have about 110 songs we do a year. Mm-hmm. That's just not that many. Yeah. So you've got to be very careful about what songs you're going to do. And then all the songs that we choose for a meeting are determined by the word that's being preached the week before and then the week of. So it's not just a matter often of, hey, let's just do this song. I may have a great song that I want us to do, but haven't found the right spot to put it in. So it may be, that's a great song, but it may be a few months, 6 months, until we find that spot to use it in. So those are some of the things that I'll share with someone if they're saying, why don't we do this? And then ultimately, it's Philippians 2:4. We're to prefer one another musically. Mm-hmm. It's not about making everybody happy. Yeah. It's about everybody saying, you know what? There might be someone in the room who's enjoying this style, musical style, because the words we all want to be agreed on. But I just know that I don't want to look only to my own interests, but also to the interests of others. Yeah. It's Philippians 2:4. And so that's the thought we're going to go into this discussion with. and end with is, wherever we land, we want to be aware that there are more people than just me who desire this. And I would never want anybody just struggling, with why don't we do this kind of song?
Yeah.
I want to really hear them out.
Yeah.
And then just give them the reason for why we do the songs we do.
Yeah, I think that's great. I don't want to overlook something you said that I think is so very important. The reason that you're choosing songs is not because you love the song. It's because it's fitting into the scriptures that you've chosen. Yeah. It's fitting into maybe the series you're talking through, which are informing the scriptures that you're doing. So that's a really helpful foundation that you should be thinking about the songs that you're choosing. Because if it's a free-for-all week to week, like if it's just anything goes, any songs I like, well then you don't really have a filter to sort of buffer the songs that you don't want to do because of what they're saying theologically or whatever. And
how
so
difficult they are to sing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I think that's just very helpful. And if it's not tied to the scriptures you're doing or the series you're going through, and it's a free-for-all, then there's no standard anywhere.
Yeah, you have less of a reason to tell someone why you're not doing that song.
Yeah.
If you don't think it's a good song to do, you just, why not? You do your songs.
Right.
How about one of my songs?
Right.
So no, it is
That's
about
helpful. Yeah.
the word driving everything we're doing. So that's one hard conversation. Here's another one: just general criticism.
Like you're ugly and
yeah, something like that. I don't like the way you lead. And more often you hear about someone else saying that, or it could be, I like it when you lead, not when they lead.
I really like it when you're gone and other people lead for you.
Yeah, it could be that. Again, always check your heart. And it's just so good in those moments to ask questions. Proverbs 18:15, the ear of the wise, an intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge.
Yes.
It's like a life verse for me. I'm trying to, this is good, because I forget so often. So often I just want to respond. So, ask questions like, how well do you know them? Is this a friend? Is this a newcomer? That's going to make a difference how I respond. How well do they know the leaders? Is this just someone who, like in a comment section on social media, they just kind of drive by, and they just move, or are they really planted in the church? That makes a difference. How well do they understand the purpose of the gathering? Like what the music is for,
right?
Because again, we all come into a church with preconceptions
and preferences,
what the music's supposed to feel like, sound like, look like, and so we may not be doing it perfectly, but you've got to be aware that may be influencing some of the things you're feeling.
Oh, totally, and being charitable enough to ask these good questions, but also sort of see it from their perspective. I mean, I've visited a church where I didn't know any song.
Yeah.
Because they do their own songs or they do songs that I don't listen to. And it's like 4 songs back to back.
Yeah.
Never heard this, never heard this, never heard this. And I just think like, maybe this is the regular diet of this congregation.
Yes.
And so being charitable enough to say, okay, they're new, or they're not familiar with Reformed theology, or they're not familiar with hymns or our church or anything. It's like we bring so much of our preferences into any gathering we're at. Which
is a little sidebar here, why it's so important, whatever songs we do, to always emphasize the content. It's what are these songs saying?
Yeah.
Not just assuming, hey, everybody's jamming with this. This is so great. We're having a great time worshiping the Lord. No, there are probably people who are going, I've never heard this song. We had a couple join the church not too long ago, it's in the past year, who said when they first came, they're from California. When they first came, they really didn't know many of the songs. But because of what they said, and because they weren't too difficult to learn, they began to appreciate the songs that we sang. And again, we're not trying to do only Sovereign Grace songs or
Right.
We want to do any song that says what we want it to say with the words saying. But I think because we emphasized what these songs are saying, it made it easier for them to learn and to grow and to appreciate.
So well said. Yeah.
So I was grateful because I know there are people who aren't familiar with the songs we're singing. Maybe 3/4 of them. I don't know. I mean, if you've never heard Sovereign Grace music, most Sundays we maybe do 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, maybe 4 out of 5. I don't know. But
we're careful about it, though.
We're mindful of it.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, we've done 3 Sovereign Grace songs. Let's do a hymn. Let's do something everybody knows. But we're aiming it at our church. It's not for newcomers, but we're aware of them.
That's great. That's great.
And so another question to ask is just, what's been their experience in other churches? You mentioned that. So where have you come from? What was it like? And is this your preference, or is this something that other people feel? You may not want to ask them, but just be asking yourself, have other people said this to me? Is this, and talk with others? Do you think this is an issue here? Because we just can become so easily blind to what we're doing and how it's affecting people.
Yes.
So that's a gift. All right, non-singers. This is what I've had numerous leaders talk to me about this. You're looking at your congregation and you just got that one person who's just like, maybe it's more than one person. Maybe it's like half the congregation.
Oh, man. Yes.
Do you have thoughts? I mean, do you have stories?
Oh, my goodness. I have stories I probably shouldn't share.
Okay. All right, then. I'll share one story.
Yeah.
There was a guy in our church who, would look out Sunday after Sunday, and he would just not be singing at all.
Yeah.
And so one Sunday, he came up after the meeting, and we were talking, and I said, hey, I just noticed that you don't seem to sing. Like, why is that? So we just had a conversation about it. And over time, he began to sing. And it was just so wonderful. I asked him, do you struggle with singing? Like, what's been your experience? Because it can be different things.
Yeah.
Some people just don't like some people just don't like to sing.
Yeah.
Some people feel awkward singing, don't feel they have a good voice.
Right.
Those kind of things. Could be, is there anything we could do better?
Yeah.
To encourage them?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I agree
share a
with all
story,
of those
or-
things. I don't think so. I think what you said, there was a familiarity for you to even spark up that conversation with him.
Yeah.
Right? That would be so awkward if you're just going around telling people, why aren't you singing? Why aren't you singing? It's relational. But more often than not, when I've been in this situation and I'm looking out and people aren't singing, it's typically my fault.
Okay, well, there you go.
Why?
That's helpful.
Why? What am I doing that's causing you to not sing? But I think that's good.
That's a good question to ask. Is there anything we could do better?
Yeah.
And then I'd also want to talk to them about the benefits of singing.
Totally.
Psalm 147:1. Praise the Lord, for it is good to sing praises to our God, for it is pleasant, and a song of praise is fitting. Why do you think God put that there? Why do you think it's good to sing praises? Don't tell them, just help them draw out of what God has said, what he's saying. And then Psalm 105, verses 1 and 2, oh, give thanks to the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the peoples. Sing to him. This is how God chooses to do it. Sing to him. Sing praise to him. Tell of all his wondrous works. And you see the same thing in the New Testament when we're talking about singing, when Paul talks about singing in Colossians 3, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God. When's that teaching and admonishing one another happening? Well, as we're singing the psalms and hymns. That's why you're not just listening. God wants you to be a part of that, telling others what he's done.
Well, and Yes, and can I add, your people, you think that they instinctively know this, they don't.
Yes.
You have to teach them. You have to tell them this. You have to give them a biblical theology and framework of why they do it. It made me think of a brief story. In the church that I grew up with, in my dad was the pastor, and one of his elders, I think I'm okay telling the story.
Don't use any names.
I won't, was from a university that didn't like drums, and thought that drumming and drums and that instrument should not be in our local
That's a common experience.
congregation. Yeah. And I happened to be playing drums in my dad's church.
Unfortunate.
And, he approached my dad very graciously, very gently, and just said, I don't think this is right. Show me where this is. And so my dad told him, we need to have a biblical framework of instruments and drumming and in the Bible. And so he said, I want you to look up anywhere it talks about cymbals, percussion.
He's saying
drums.
this to you?
No, he's saying this to this elder.
An
An elder in his church. And that elder went to his Bible, had a biblical foundation and framework of what drums are and how they're used in corporate worship, and came back to my father and said, I was wrong. And now every time I go back to my dad's church, he is like my biggest cheerleader.
That is wonderful.
But I think what you just did with someone who just doesn't like to sing, giving them a biblical framework, is like, let's go to our Bibles.
Yes.
Before we go to CCM, before we go to what everyone else is doing, let's go to our Bibles first.
Yes. Well, and that's a great example of the just general criticism. I don't think there should be drums here.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be a theological reason. I don't think this should be happening here. Okay, let's talk about it. You just want to. These hard conversations become a lot easier when we make them conversations and not shots fired over the bow.
Totally.
I think this. Well, I think this. Well,
Yes.
Those don't go anywhere profitable.
Yeah.
So just engaging people. So here's another one: the volume police. And they may not.
That's a hard one.
They might not have a badge, but they sure feel like the
But
volume
somehow
police.
they have weapons.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of churches have had this happen. And Julie, my wife, ran sound in churres for 40 years.
She's gotten every evil
She
glare.
has gotten every evil glare. And I think there's one time where we were playing a concert, and the guy just kind of reached down and pulled down the fader. Okay, all right. But there, it could be it's just really loud, or why is it always so loud in here? On Sunday mornings, I'm worried about my kids, all those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. So here's a couple thoughts, and I would love to hear your thoughts on these, on this question, this hard conversation. First, make sure you've checked your volume. Mm-hmm. So we've gone to every part of our room, and we did this in my previous church as well, and just check what is the decibel volume.
Yeah.
It's a little harder because when you're singing, our singing is pretty loud.
It's really loud.
And sometimes the singing can be louder than the instruments.
Yeah.
Which can be, you think it's coming from the platform, but really it's coming from the congregation. But check it. It may be 10 dB difference, 5 dB difference, in different parts of the room. And you always want to thank them. Mm-hmm. That's, again, it's just, when people ask questions, we can tend to judge them and say, you're just a critic. Mm-hmm. You're just a scoffer. Mm-hmm. You're just my enemy. But I think most of the time people just care.
Yeah.
And it may be a preference, but they think it might be a preference that other people have too.
Totally.
So we don't know. We don't know until we have that conversation.
Well, and it can be painful. I mean,
it really can be painful.
So I think when you're asking questions, you should ask those kind of questions. Where are you sitting in the congregation? Where are you placed in the room?
Yes.
Are you close to the speakers? Are you far?
Do you have hearing issues in other places?
Yeah.
Do you have hearing aids? It's just trying to understand, and then maybe suggest reasons don't instantly come back with, well, you're just, you're a wimp. You should just, try another church. That would not be the right response. But it could be where you're sitting. It could be EQ as well.
Yeah.
So I found this to be an issue where it's a certain pitch.
Frequency, yeah.
Frequency, thank you, that's causing the problem. So that's a different thing. That's an EQ level. And then say, thank you for your input. We're going to be checking on it. And, in the meantime, I'd encourage you maybe to sit here, sit, wherever, but we're going to be working on it and just let them know that you'll be talking about it. In my previous church, we had just a document where we had filled out everything that we'd done to ensure that the volume was not detrimental. Because that's what some people would lead with. It's ruining my hearing. You're ruining the hearing of your people. But if I think we're between 90 and 85 and 95, I think, somewhere around there. But when the congregation sings, it might get a little louder.
Yeah. And I would encourage, worship leaders, if sound is like a weekly problem for you, I think you need to have variety in what you're doing.
Great point.
Yeah, I think you should have Sundays that are just an acoustic in our vocals. Like, set the dB level for just our voices.
Yes.
And then bring back elements. But if every Sunday is like, we don't care, we're just going for it. This is what we do. Then it's just really not really serving your people.
That is one of the most unhelpful, and I would say uncharitable responses that we can give to members of a congregation, just to say, well, this is just the way we do it.
Yeah.
Again, you don't want to be beholden to everybody's personal preference.
Right.
But we do want to take into account the weaker brother or sister.
Totally.
In this case, those who just are really affected by how loud things are. You're not going to please everybody.
Yeah.
But you can at least make the effort to understand, to do what you can, and then create some kind of plan where they're aware you've really heard them and you're really trying to do what you can.
Yeah, and that one person's preference is not everyone's preference, too.
Yeah,
so when you're receiving that criticism, you can take a deep breath and just accept that, and make decisions, try to be charitable and care for that person who's standing in front of you. I mean, like going back to, growing up in my dad's church as a drummer, it's like there were senior saints who loved my drumming.
Yeah.
They loved it when I played.
I
jazz.
love your drumming. I'm a senior saint.
That's true. And then there were others who didn't like it, and so that was helpful for me to know, I'm not intentionally trying to kill everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
But not everyone's going to be a fan.
Yeah.
And that could go for any of these categories. It's like, that's why we take a deep breath and we try to, prefer their needs.
And it's helpful to remember we are the singing team, as my son Devin likes to call the musician, the singing team.
Yeah, good.
That's what we're there to do.
Yeah, totally.
We don't have to impress them with our volume and our chops.
Yep.
All right, last one is, and this is a little different take. Hard conversations with your church members. Those who come up and encourage you. So many people have said to me, "How do you handle it when someone comes up and says, 'Oh, I really love what you did today'? I feel awkward. I feel, kind of, what do I say?" And a part of that is, God intends for us to be built up through encouragement. Think of Hebrews 3:13, exhort one another every day, which that exhort is put courage into, encourage, as long as it is called today, that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. So leaders get discouraged, musicians get discouraged. Someone comes up and says, "I really appreciated what you did today." God, that's a gift from the Lord.
Yeah.
He intends for that to be a blessing.
Yes.
So that's not like odd. Like, no, don't tell me, don't say anything. We can get to that place where we don't want anybody to say anything good about us. Well, God intends for you to benefit from that. But at the same time, Proverbs 27:2 says, let another praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger not your own lips. And Proverbs 25:27, it is not good to eat much honey, which I have a hard time obeying. It is not good to eat much honey, nor is it glorious to seek one's own glory. So
You get sick on your own.
I know. Well, that's what God's saying. Look, it's fine and good if other people encourage you. Just don't seek it yourself. So some of the things, again, in responding to that conversation, which may seem hard to you, one of the ways of dealing with that begins before that conversation even occurs, and that is fighting a love for praise outside the meeting.
Yeah.
Confess your thoughts of self-promotion to others, a spouse, a good friend, a pastor. Ignore numbers, especially on social media. I guess that's what I'm thinking of. Just ignore how many likes, how many comments, it doesn't mean you need to be unaware of them, but just don't make that a thing. Oh, this thing I said got this many likes, or it's like, who cares? And then cultivate encouragement of others. Cultivate gratefulness for others. That just helps us to be aware that when someone comes up and encourages us, we're going to be alert to that. This isn't about me.
Yes.
This is about what God's doing, because you're already prone to thinking of those around you.
Yeah.
So the specific things I've found helpful, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is to recognize everything we do, everything I do comes from grace. Everything. My gifting, my salvation first, my gifting, the ability to practice, health, any fruit from what I do, it comes from God's grace. It's to the praise of his glorious grace. 2, everything I do as a team, with a team. So, someone says, so appreciated. Well, I have a great team to serve with. You're not deflecting. You're just saying the reality is I serve with a lot of people. And then my most common response is just to say, we have a great Savior, don't we? Like, I'm so glad that I could be here today to lead us in reminding each other how glorious Jesus is.
Yeah.
And that's an easy response.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
What have we been doing? Well, we've been saying how great Jesus is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is so great.
Yeah, excellent. It reminds me of that quote, for every look at yourself, take 10 looks to Christ. It's like, along with that, for every look, one look at yourself, take 10 looks at others.
Yes.
The projectionist,
Yes.
how often is she or he thanked?
Yes.
Your sound guy,
Oh, so
the guy wrapping cables, on Sundays, our pastors say, thank the people who watched your kids and shared the gospel with them faithfully while you were able to sit in here and hear the same gospel. It's just that I just think, like, man, so many people in your church, especially on your team, go unthanked.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes. That's
Yet
so
they
good.
still serve. Yet they still joyfully show up and do what they believe that God is calling them to do. So I just think, if you want to crush ego, it's to look away from the mirror and to look at all the people on your team that are so faithfully serving.
And you may be, just maybe you. So you're thinking, well, there's no one on my team. It's just me. And in that case, there's still other people serving in the church, but you could say something as simple as, oh, thanks so much.
Yeah.
You know, and what was encouraging to you? Because that points it to the Lord. It's not, oh, well, I just love your voice. That's not what you're looking for. It's just, what encouraged you? I just remembered just how kind the Lord has been to forgive all my sins. That song we sang. And, and then rather than, I chose that song. Yeah, of course. Or I wrote that song. No, rather than that, it's just, he is that glorious, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's that good. So, there are probably more hard conversations we didn't get to.
If there are hard conversations you have thought about,
Yes.
put them in the comments.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And we'll read your comments and maybe we'll do another one.
That would be great. But thank you for serving in the ways that you do. If you serve somewhere in your church, thank you for that. And God intends all these conversations to be opportunities to depend on Him, to appreciate the people that He's joined you to in your church, and to give Christ glory.
Yeah.
So we pray that's the fruit of this conversation for you. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Sound Plus Doctrine, the podcast of Sovereign Grace Music. Sovereign Grace Music exists to produce Christ-exalting songs and training for the church from our local churches. For more information, free sheet music, translations, and training resources, you can visit us at sovereigngracemusic.org.